बोले परम पुरुष ने परम ब्रह्म ने महाअष्ट स्वामी जी की जय। श्री बाबा अष्ट स्वामी जी महाराज की जय। श्री आशुतोष भगवान की जय। सच्चे दरबार की जय। My brothers and sisters, today we have the great fortune, by the divine blessing of my Guru Maharaj Swami Ji and my Guru Baba Swami Ji Maharaj and Guru Ashutosh Bhagwan, to listen to satsang. Because satsang is how the Guru gives his kirpa, how Guru gives his sandesh, his message to us. Guru has many ways to give his message to us, and satsang is one of the most profound. So my friends, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I implore you to take this opportunity to come and listen to some satsang. When we look at the world today, we look at society in general, we notice that the youth, young people, seem so lost, so directionless. If you watch the news is very bleak. It seems that people are becoming more infused with drugs, alcohol, lust. That the ideas of adhyatma, spirituality, bhakti are so far gone. When we think of the great inspirations of the youth in the past, Bhagat Singh, for example, who fought for his country, for the independence of Bharat Mata. When we look at the likes of Dhruv and Prahlad, how they inspired, how they fought, it becomes clear that society now, the youth of today, is somehow lost. But those great individuals that came before us, those young people, that had such a profound effect on society, we don't see those young people nowadays. And the truth is that young people are still enthusiastic, they've still got energy, but somewhere they've lost their direction, they've lost the meaning behind what they're doing. And now we're in a sorry state in the world where people are so fixated on worldly possessions, on money, on power, on status. When we look at the lives of Bhagat Singh, he fought for something. He's willing to give his life for his country. When we look at all of our great spiritual leaders, they were all willing to give their all for the truth. But here there seems somewhere the youth of today have lost their identity. So what do I mean by youth? Who is the youth and what is the youth's power? Now when we look at youth, when we try and understand youth, our Gurudev Sri Ashutosh Maharaj so beautifully said once that I want 80-year-old youths, not 18-year-old senior citizens. I don't want people who are young in age but old in mentality. I want those who even old in age are still young and vibrant. So here my Gurudev was clearly explaining that youth isn't simply age. But there can be people who can be of senior age and they can carry the qualities of youth in them. For example, when we look at the story of Bhai Amar Das, who later became Guru Amar Das, the third Sikh Guru. Now Bhai Amar Das, at the age of 72, comes into the abode of Guru Angad Dev. And when he comes into the abode of Guru Angad Dev, he there does seva. All day he does seva. At the age of 72, he's got those famous photos of him where he's carrying water to his Gurudev for his Gurudev's washing, for his Gurudev to bathe with. When we look at the story of Guru Amar Das Ji, even at that old age, he did every service. And after 12 years of dedicated seva, dedicated service, he was then given Brahm Gyan, those Jnana Pradana Gyan by his Gurudev, Guru Angad Dev Ji. When he was given this Gyan, then in addition to the seva he was doing, he was told that he needed to sadhana. He needed to meditate on that Naam that he was given. Now Guru Angad Dev Ji here gave this to his disciple, but his disciple didn't moan. Guru Amar Das didn't say, how can I do seva all day and still do sadhana? Why do I not get time for sadhana? How am I supposed to do this? He didn't complain to his Guru. And he didn't relinquish his seva. He was clear, I need to do my seva. So what did he do? He said, I will then relinquish my sleep, I will give up my sleep and I will do sadhana throughout the night. And he looked at himself and he was aware of his limitations. He was old, he'd get tired as we do, and he'd fall asleep. So what he used to do is he'd place a nail against the wall. He'd put the nail against the wall and then he'd tie the back of his hair against that nail. So whenever his head popped forwards, whenever he was falling to sleep, suddenly he'd get pulled back and go back into sadhana. When we look at the story of Guru Amar Das, and Guru Amar Das never complained. There is no story where he complained to his Gurudev that how am I supposed to do seva and how am I supposed to do sadhana. He didn't complain that after 12 years of seva, then I get this jnana. He didn't complain, he didn't say that I'm 72 years old, how am I supposed to do seva? Guru Amar Das Ji did as he needed to do with that vigor and enthusiasm of a youth. And so, when we look at Guru Amar Das Ji, we should think of him as a youth because he carried himself with the energy of a youth. So what is the youth power? What gives the young people power? And over some introspection, over some deep dhyan, I think we found four things. Four things that I believe are the defining powers, defining characteristics of the youth of today, or youth of all ages. The first quality of the youth is fearlessness. That a young person has no fear. Even in the world we see it, when Bhagat Singh was having to give up his life, was going to be hanged, he didn't have fear that he was going to be hanged. He was sure of himself, he was sure in his convictions of what he needed to do. When we go into even the world, when we see young people go out into the world, there's a fearlessness that I am going to achieve my goals. There's a fearlessness that I am going to make it. It's that fearlessness that scares people. They say, how can they have such bravery? How can they be so strong? And the truly brave, the most glorious of our youths are those in our Granth, in our spiritual text, who came on the path of Bhakti. When we think of the story of Dhruv, at the tender age of 5, left his kingdom alone at the age of 5 and went into the forest in the search of God. In the search of God, as a 5-year-old, he didn't go with fear. He didn't say, well, what will happen to me? What if I get killed? What if I get lost and die? He was determined, he was fearless. When Prahlad is before his father, and his father says to him, I am God, I am the Almighty. Prahlad says no. He says that I know the Almighty, I know Hari, you are not Hari. His father, enraged, sees so many attempts to kill him, throws him off cliffs, poisons him, puts him into fire, so many attempts to kill him. But the thing was, Prahlad was fearless, he wasn't afraid. He stood by his convictions, he stood by his guru, and he said the truth. All the rest of the people in that kingdom, they went with what the king said. They said, of course, king, you're the all-powerful. Of course, king, you are God. Of course, we should pray to you. We should do your puja. Only Prahlad had the fearlessness to say, no, you are Paramatma. I know Paramatma, I have seen his Tat Roop. You are not Paramatma. In the same way, Ranjani is the fourth daughter of a great king. And the king, in his own ego, asked each of his daughter, who provides for you? Who gives you salt? The first daughter says, of course it's you, father. You are the one who provides for me. You are the one who gives me everything. The second daughter says the same thing. Says, yes, father, you are the one who provides. You give me everything. You are everyone. The third daughter says the same. The fourth daughter, Rajni, she says, my Ishwar, God is the one who provides for me. The father becomes angry. He says, how dare you? I am your father. I am the one who gives everything. He says, no. The giver is the Almighty. And in her honesty, in her fearlessness, the father gets her married to a leper. Married to a leper and sent out away from the kingdom. It says that if you can survive without me, if the Almighty is the one who provides you food, the king said, then go and live with this leper, who is now your husband, and go and live in the world. Then let's see if your Almighty will then preserve you. Let's then see if the Almighty will look after you. And Rajni says that as the Almighty wishes. If the Almighty wishes for me to marry a leper, then I will marry a leper. She submitted herself to God's will. She was fearless. She knew that God was with her, that God would guide her, God would protect her. She has such vishwas, such faith in her Almighty. And then the story goes that she goes through trials, she goes through tribulations, but then her husband enters into some sacred water and becomes healed. His leprosy disappears. And the other daughters then went to different kingdoms where they were beaten, mistreated. And the father looks back at himself and says that the daughters that I think I gave such great life to are now in sadness and misery. And the daughter that I believe I cursed, I married to a leper, is now in a happy relationship, in a happy, loving marriage. That Raja's Hankar was broken because that youth, Rajani's fearlessness, she was fearless and she broke him. She taught him the truth. That is the fearlessness of both. When Yogananda Mahant and Swami Vivekananda went out to do puja in America, where they knew nobody, they had no contacts. Yogananda Mahant barely knew the language. But they had the fearlessness that if my Guru sent me, then I will do what my Guru says. And they went and they did puja, and their names are known to this day. When we think of the great youths, we think of Swami Vivekananda. And when we think of what he achieved it. If he'd been fearful, Would he ever reach to America? If he's in his mind, he says, how am I going to do this? What if this happens? What if nobody listens to me? What if I die out in America, away from my country? He didn't fear. He was confirmed. He was firm in his convictions. He went out. Or we look at the story of Mirabai. Mirabai went to do Prajar. He preached gully gully. Every village, every place she went out and she did Prajar. And this was the time when the Mughals were ruling over India, when Akbar was ruling over India, where a single Nari, a single woman going out to Prajar was unheard of, unthought of. But Mirabai was fearless. She went out and did Prajar, and that's why we know her name today. So the first quality that gives youth power, the quality that's in the youth, is fearlessness. They aren't afraid. If they learn to channel that energy, they can do great things. There is infinite power in the youth. They simply need the direction, the guide to use it in the right way. The second source of power of the youth is their determination. The youth are determined. When a young person says, I will be successful, you see them and they become successful, they fight. When a determined youth says, I'm going to do something, they do it because the determination is inner. When we look at our history of our books, we see that determination. Dhruv had the determination that I am going to find God. No matter how many obstacles she faced, even when Narad Muni questioned him, tempted him, Narad Muni came to him and said, you're youth, go back to your kingdom. Right now is the time to play. God is for later, Bhakti is for later. Dhruv did not get scared, Dhruv did not get misled, Dhruv stayed firm in his convictions. When we look at the story of Nachideka, Nachideka saw that his father was not doing his yag in the right spirit. The yag in which he was supposed to give up everything of his possessions, but he saw that his father was only giving the things that he didn't want. He's giving the cows that were already lean, already weak. He was giving away the furniture that was broken. And he says, this was not right. He was firm in his conviction. He knew this was not the right way. So with fearlessness, he went to his father and says, Father, who are you going to give me to? He asked him once. The father didn't answer. Now this is really important. You ask your parent once. If they don't answer, you don't ask again. This is a niyam. This is a rule of India. You do not ask your parents twice. You ask them, you asked. It's done. He asked. His father didn't answer. He asked again. He was confirmed. He was fearless. He was confirmed in his convictions that he needed to do something. He then asked again. He says, Father, who are you going to give me to? Who are you going to sacrifice me to? Again, the father didn't answer. And this time, he went beyond all lines of control, all rules. He asked his father a third time. He says, Father, who are you going to give me to? His father in anger then says, I'm going to give you to Yamraj. I'm going to give you to the god of death. And Nachideka didn't cry, Nachideka didn't wallow, Nachideka bowed and said, as you wish, Father. And he went to the abode of Ramraj. He went to the abode of Ramraj, and then here, beautifully, we have his story that you mentioned. His story is in our Granth. Another example of that determination that
need of the youth to find the truth comes in the story in Yogananda Paramahansa's book. In his book, there's an example where a disciple who's been searching for the truth, searching for this Brahmyan, in his attempts, searches all across Himalaya to find Mahavidad Baba. Because Mahavidad Babaji is known to live with the Himalayas, to go from space to space with his collection of disciples. So he, for months now, has been tracking Mahadev Baba. He's been tracking Mahavidad Babaji, trying to find him. And then once he reaches Mahavidad Baba, and he says to him, he says, make me your disciple, give me this Brahmyan. Mahavidad says, no, you do not deserve this Gyan, I will not give you this Gyan. This man is determined for this Gyan. He's been spending months tracking, trying to keep up with him through the mountains of the Himalayas. And he says that if you do not give me this Gyan, I will jump off this cliff top. So Mahadev Baba says, jump off the cliff top. And the man jumps off the cliff top. He's confirmed his convictions, he jumps. And then what does Mahavidad Baba do? He says to his disciples, bring his body. So they go down, they bring his body from the cliff top. And he's dead, he's broken, his body is gone, he has fallen from such a height, instant death. Mahavidad Baba gives him his life back, brings his prana, his energy back into himself. And then Mahadev Baba says that now you are worthy of this Gyan. Now you've shown the determination that makes you worthy of this Gyan, and gives him Brahma Gyan. That is the determination of the youth of our history. That's the youth have the determination to go forward. And then the third thing is truth. That beyond anything else, the youth's power is that they need the truth, they fight for the truth. When we think of Nachadeka's story, when he goes to Yamraj, he waits for 3 days. Then Yamraj, seeing that he's waited for 3 days, gives him 3 Vardhan. He says, you can ask me for three things. The first thing that Nachadeka asks is that, give my father happiness. Put forgiveness in my father. Take away his rage for what I have done. He says, okay, he says, the dust flew, and it's done. The second thing that he asks is, how is this yajna supposed to be done? He's curious, he wants to know how is the agni, that yajna, meant to be done. And here Yamraj explains the Vigyan, the science, every detail of that yajna. And then Nachadeka, the third question Nachadeka asks, and this is really important, my friends, listen closely. He asks, what happens when you die? What happens after you die? What is the secret to it? Here, Yamraj says that this is a mystery. Even Devi do not truly know what happens after death. He says this is a profound, deep secret of the universe. He then says, this is a big secret. He says, instead ask for something else. Ask for all the kingdoms of the universe. Ask for the world, I will give it to you. But I do not ask this. I will give you all the money, I will give you all the happiness, the wealth, I will give you women, I will give you status, I will give you health, I will give you 1,000 years of life, and I will give your children 1,000-year life, and their children 1,000-year life. I will make sure that you live the greatest of generations. But Nachadeka was confirmed, he said, no, I need this truth. I don't want the wealth that you give me, I want truth. And Ramnath smiled and says, that is the disciple that I want. Who wants truth over pleasures of the world, who knows that the truth is more important than worldly luxury. And then he told him the secret. He taught him about the Atma that is ever present, that doesn't die, that lives on from body, from body, from body. This is what power we have when we hold conviction to the truth. When we look at the story of Raja Prediksha, when Raja Prediksha is hearing the Bhagavad Mahapuran from his Gurudev, Sukdev Muni, what happens is, from Swarga, Devi come to him and say that we will give you Amrit. We will give you the Swarga, the Amrit of Swarga. With this you will get so much happiness. We give you this, and in return, let us have this Bhagavad Mahapuran. Let us listen to the Bhagavad Mahapuran. Let's get the Katha. We will give you the joys of Swarga. He then asks his Gurudev, he says, Gurudev, what's the difference? His Gurudev, Sukdev Muni explains to him. He says, Swarga is a limited time and limited happiness. After the time is done, it will end. But this Katha, this Bhagavad Katha that I give to you, this will give you everlasting Anand, everlasting bliss. And he chooses the Katha. That is the story of our bhakts, that they needed truth, and they wanted that divine truth. And they did not stop. Swami Vivekananda went to 50 gurus until he found a Purna Guru. He needed the truth, he needed God. He was determined. And he went and found Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa. That is the determination of the young, of the youth of today. But where is that direction? Where is that guidance? And then the third quality. So the first quality, what was the first quality, my friends? Fearlessness. The second quality, determination. The third quality, truthfulness. And the fourth quality is enthusiasm. They have this enthusiasm, they have this energy. You see a young person, they have so much energy, they don't know what to do with it. They have that enthusiasm that they're like, I will go out and do something, and they go out and do it. But where do we direct that energy? Where do we guide that energy? When we look at the history, we see great people. We talk about but let's talk about those who became the real evil in the world. We look at Hitler. Adolf Hitler, who was the leader of the Nazi Party, who caused the Holocaust, killed millions of Jewish people in gas camps. Now, what did he want to be when he was a child? You might be shocked about this. He wanted to be a priest. He wanted to be a priest. He wanted to be a person of God. What happened? What happened to the child that wanted to be a person of God, that then became the greatest, the most evil of people in our history? Is he got the wrong direction, he got the wrong guidance. In the same way, if you look at our history, when we look at the story of Arjuna, and we look at the story of Duryodhana, when we look at the story of Duryodhana, his mama, his uncle, gives him bad advice, negative advice, tells him to do cheating, to do anything to try and win the kingdom. He suggests poison beam at a young age. He tells him to do so many evil things. And Duryodhana follows his direction. And then you have Arjuna, who spent time with Bhishma Pitama, who spent time with Shri Krishna Bhagavan, and went in the right direction. So the youth today, they don't lack energy, they do not lack determination, they do not lack fearlessness. They lack direction. They lack a Buddha Guru to direct them towards their true goal. And because they lack direction, it leads them to a life of drugs, a life of alcohol, a life of money, a life which doesn't have bhakti, which doesn't have God, which doesn't have Atmik Shodhan, Atmik Chintan, it doesn't have meaning. Because they don't have the direction, guidance that they need. Our Guru Dev has always given that message that let's guide people in the right direction. When we look at the youth today, who are youth role models? Who do the young people look to? They look to sportsmen. They look to sports stars who aren't got those qualities in themselves. They look to people, let's say, even people who achieve great things. Albert Einstein did great scientific achievements. There's no doubt about it. But there was flaws in his character. He is known for cheating on his wife. He achieved great things, there's no doubt about it, but his character was weak. Martin Luther King did great things for the prosperity of the black community and the community in the whole in America. But he is famously known for cheating on his wife. In his character there was weakness. But then we look at Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda's character and his actions were equal. He went out and preached the message of truth, and he held the highest level of character. His character was without flaw, without doubt. He even said that if you put a prostitute for the night, if you gave me a prostitute to spend the night with, I would turn her into a saint. Because my Guru Dev, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa, made me such a disciple, made me such a bhakt, that I could guide others towards the truth. Our Guru Dev Master Swamiji has spent these years not on puja, not on preaching. She spent these years on making sannyasis. Why? Why spend so much time on making sannyasis? What are sannyasis going to bring to the world? Sannyasis are the role models. They are the guides to say what man can become. And that's why Ma has made such sannyasis that are guiding us to be better, and then for us to guide others to be better. To have those qualities, those noble traits within ourselves that we can then give to the world. That is the purpose, that's the disciples that Guru Maharaj Swamiji is making. That's the youth that we need today. We need the youth, not sports stars. We don't need youth who are actors or filmmakers. We need the youth that are bhakts, that disciples. We need sannyasis, true sannyasis. We need Dhruv, Prahlad, Swami Vivekananda, Yoginath Paramahansa today. We need Arjun today to guide mankind forwards. We have Krishna. Krishna Bhagavan is here. Guru Babaji, Guru Master Swamiji, they are here. The Krishna is not missing. Arjun is who's needed. So my brothers and sisters, we can see clearly that the youth are directionless, misguided. They are taken advantage of. Here I'm going to tell you about a psychology experiment that was done in 1961. In 1961, at Yale University, Stanley Milgram did an experiment. The Milgram experiment, he had 40 participants. And in the 40 participants, what they were told to do is they were supposed to give an electric shock to somebody who was doing some puzzles in a different room. So what they did is they would do an electric shock and they would hear the person. And as the experiment carried on, the voltages kept increasing. Every person would stop, would look to an authority figure. They would look to it, question, and the authority figure would say, no, it's okay, carry on. It's fine, they're okay, carry on. 100% of participants went to 300 volts. 100%. And 65% went up to the maximum voltage of 450. This experiment illustrates how influenced we can be by an authority figure. Once we give somebody a position of trust and we listen to them, they can take away our guidance, they can guide us in the wrong direction. Our consciousness, our Atma is saying, no, this person's in pain, I can hear them screaming. They can hear the person who's screaming from the electric shocks. They're saying, no, this is wrong. But the person was saying, no, it's okay. The person was saying it's okay, and he says, okay, fine. And he did. 65% of people went to the maximum voltage. 450 volts can kill a person. They went all the way. What was this experiment trying to teach mankind? That the Holocaust. People said, how can the Holocaust happen? How can people go that far? And the experiment showed that when they were given some authority figure, bad guidance, then they can do some atrocious things. When we see these jihads, when we see these young people who become terrorists, their stories all start the same way. That they had some preacher, they had some spiritual leader that they followed, that they listened to. And because they followed them, because they listened to them, they led in towards terrorism, they led into a bad direction. They weren't bad people, they weren't bad children, they were guided in a bad direction. So we can see that when they get the bad guidance, they become bad people. And when they get good guidance, they can become great people. It's the guidance that they need, the direction that they need. The Buddha Guru they need, who can guide them on the true path. So my brothers and sisters, take a moment to reflect on how fortunate we are. By our Guru's grace, by God's divine grace, that we have had good guides in our lives. We have guides in our life that have taken us towards Guru. Because even Goswami Tulsidas, before he became Goswami Tulsidas, was known as Tulsidas. He was so attached to his wife. He was so enthralled with his wife that it said that in a storm, when in a storm he was so determined to see his wife that he makes this perilous journey to her. In this perilous journey, he crosses over a rushing river. He reaches her windowsill, up 3 flights. And his wife asked him, how did you arrive? How did you come in this storm? How did you reach me? He says that I used the rope that you set for me. He said there was no rope. What he thought was a rope was a dead snake. He used a dead snake to climb up to her. And then she asked him, how did you cross the river? He said, I used a piece of wood. There was no boats. And then when he goes to the river, what does he see? It wasn't a boat. It wasn't a piece of wood. It was a dead body. And his wife looks at him and says that, what are you doing? If you have such love for me, such attachment for me, that you're willing to go through a storm for me, then why don't you do that for God? If you had such determination to find God, you would have found God by now. And then what did Goswami Tulsidas say? He said that she was my first Guru. Because she's the one who worked with me and said that I should be spending this energy on finding God, not on my wife. She guided me. In the same way, in our lives, we've had people who have guided us. We've had mothers and fathers who said, do puja, do aarti. Pray to God. They are first guru. And then what happens then eventually we come to a Buddha Guru who gives us that Ishwar darshan, who shows us God, who shows us true bhakti and takes us on our way. So my brothers and sisters, let's take the moment to thank God for the blessings that we've received, the guidance that we've received, that we've been given the right direction. And let's seek to become those disciples that can give mankind, the youth of today, the direction that they need so they can become great, that they can reach their highest potential. Because the world needs Dhruv, the world needs Prahlad, the world needs Swami Vivekananda. Here I will rest my words. बोले परम पूजने परम वंदे माँ स्वामी जी की जय, श्री बाबा स्वामी जी महाराज की जय, श्री आशुतोष भगवान की जय, सच्चे दरबार की जय।